Most of our difficulties in life have their roots in miscommunication. In fact, learning to listen and listening to learn are essential life skills. But communication can be especially difficult when one person speaks male and the other person speaks female. Consequently, it's no wonder couples get trapped in a negative cycle. They can't resolve their differences and they rarely get what they really want. Hello, I'm Dr. Debi, and I've been helping men, women, and couples grow together for more than 25 years. Now it's your turn to learn what I learned and taught as a couples counselor and university professor. You are the wise woman, and this is your personal development podcast packed with instant encouragement and practical tips. And men can learn about women too, because this is a safe place where women are valued and men are respected. We talk about biology, socialization, behavior, emotions, communication, and connection, because men and women are different. Always have been, always will be, and that's a very good thing. As a clinical psychologist, I listen to men and women talk about their hopes and fears, dreams and disappointments for more than 25 years. First of all, personalized attention is the most effective way to upgrade how you apply findings of scientific research to everyday life. When you're not getting along but you want that to change, you basically have three options. Number one, rely on your friends and family to give you the right advice. Number two, hire a mental health professional or a professional counselor or a pastoral counselor. Three, work with a relationship coach. Let's discuss each one of those options. First, friends, family, and even Google. Let's face it, that's where most of us begin. But friends and family have limited experience and likely a pretty biased opinion. Google will give you any answer you want if you search long enough, so you might as well listen to your friends and family, eh? So always consider the source of your marriage advice. The bottom line on this one, not all marriage advice is equal. Some advice is based on marital research. Other info may be inspirational, but not all that helpful. And some advice can actually be destructive. Yikes. Your second option, for many people, individual psychotherapy is the best option. You can take your time to process and to heal from past experiences. And if you have a clinical diagnosis such as major depressive disorder or an anxiety disorder or even post-traumatic stress disorder, your health insurance may pay for your treatment by a licensed mental health professional. However, if your insurance doesn't offer mental health benefits, or if your provider doesn't accept your insurance, psychotherapy can be really costly. In addition, psychotherapy can be time-consuming. But the good thing is, you can take your time to heal and grow. However, if your therapist has never met your mate, he or she has only heard part of the story. Unfortunately, some therapists have erroneously advised separation or even divorce. When that happens, it's tragic and sad. Of course, sometimes, especially in cases of abuse or domestic violence, separation may be your better option. However, that recommendation may be made far more often than it would if the therapist had sufficient knowledge of the couple or the individual relationship dynamics. What about cost? Well, if you have a clinical diagnosis and mental health insurance, the only cost would be your copay. If you don't meet both of those criteria, you'll be paying out of pocket. Fees for mental health professionals average between $150 and $250, depending on where you live, as well as the therapist's credentials and experience. Take that weekly fee times 6 months to 2 years, and your total bill could be as high as $25,000. If you choose couples therapy, you need to make sure the therapist is a good fit for you both. You'll want to consider much more than the letters after the therapist's name or even their experience. Your best bet is to go with your gut. Not only your gut, but your mate's gut as well. Because if you choose a therapist who chooses sides, even if he or she chooses yours, all you get from the experience will be justification for the negative pattern you already have. Don't waste your time or money on that. Side note here, most insurance does not pay for couples therapy unless one of you has a clinical diagnosis. Then treatment is focused on the patient, that is the one with the disorder, and billed using one of two procedure codes, 90846, which is family or couples psychotherapy without the patient present, or 90847, family or couples therapy with the patient present. You always have the right to ask a mental health professional what diagnosis he or she has given you. And you have the right to agree or disagree with the diagnosis. Psychiatric diagnosis is not as precise as a test for type 1 diabetes. Different clinicians can come up with entirely different diagnoses. Cost. Again, if one of you has a clinical diagnosis and mental health insurance, the only cost will be your copay. Treatment is focused on the person with a diagnosis, as I noted already, and if you don't meet both those criteria, you'll be paying out of pocket. Again, fees for mental health professionals average between $150 and $250, depending on where you live and the therapist's credentials and experience. Take that weekly fee times 6 months to 2 years, and your total bill could be as high as $25,000. To save money and make sure they're in line with their faith, some couples prefer to work with a pastor or a lay counselor. A lay counselor is a non-professional counselor. These folks can provide wonderful help for couples. I know because I've trained some great pastors, mentors, and lay counselors in the past 25 years. Be sure you ask about their training, experience, and especially their perspective on marriage. You don't want someone who's only advising you from their personal experience. Do they talk about the differences between men and women in a respectful manner? Or do they use sarcasm or put down the opposite sex, even if it's seemingly playful? Again, trust your gut and your mates. What's the cost for pastoral counseling? Well, it's usually provided for free to church members or regular attendees. However, sessions are usually limited to 10 or fewer. I want to put in a word here about infidelity. If you're recovering from an extramarital affair, whether it's yours or your mate's, it's going to be a messy process. You'll want someone who can stabilize your relationship, understand how you got yourselves into the mess, and help you decide whether or not you want to continue the marriage. My friend Dave Carter, a pastor and California licensed marriage and family therapist, is an expert on this subject, and he's trained countless counselors using his structured approach. You can order his book and workbook, Torn Asunder, on Amazon. You can also check out Pastor Dave's website for a list of counselors who've attended his training. I'll put the links in the description down below. Please note that the cost varies and may or may not be covered by insurance, so be sure to check with a therapist or counselor about that before you begin. Finally, my last option here, option number 3. Would professional coaching be the best option for you? Professional coaching is an advanced and accelerated approach to deepening your connection and building a more satisfying relationship. But it's not for everyone. Fact, men and women are different, always have been, always will be. Your DNA set the stage at conception. Your biology as male or female affects how you experience life from the very beginning to this very date, which in turn has given you a unique worldview and very specific beliefs about what it means to be a healthy human being. Your gender differences are the primary reason you married in the first place, right? So you need to understand, value, and appreciate those precious differences. Unfortunately, in most cases, a therapist won't even help you recognize those basic facts. Go figure. For example, women who are tougher than they seem have been taught to express their feelings, to create connection with words, and to believe everyone else should too. Whereas men who are more sensitive than they seem have been taught to avoid messy emotions, to solve problems instead of talking about them, and to believe that everyone else should too. So, are you ready to explore and perhaps even embrace a new mindset about the opposite sex? Coaching is really about learning and using that knowledge to develop a healthier mindset. Learning also means unlearning. And some folks just aren't ready to let go of their faulty thinking, even if it's not getting them what they want in their relationship. So they keep doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result. You've heard that before, haven't you? So check out my channel. And if you find yourself saying, yeah, but, or getting angry, then you might not be ready, at least not yet. But if my videos arouse your curiosity, you might be ready for change, to increase your understanding of yourself and your mate, and to provide you with new options. You'll learn to reclaim your God-given identity rather than default to defenses, to discover your life purpose and how it relates to the one you love, and how the opposite sex operates, what motivates and what destroys the one you love. Women in particular benefit from using their true strength for positive influence, with far less anxiety and pressure to be perfect, and a deeper sense of their value as women. Men benefit from learning to lead with confidence and compassion, fewer experiences of frustration and feelings of powerlessness, and becoming the hero God created them to be. But in order to benefit from an educational and a coaching experience, you must be open to new, more satisfying experiences. You must be able to refrain from blaming your partner for everything. You must have a desire for a deeper understanding of your mate's experience as well as your own. You must be willing to examine your own contributions, both the good and the bad, to the relationship. Then be willing to experiment with new ways of responding and evaluating the effectiveness of your responses. As you learn new ways of looking at your relationship, what you decide to do with what you learn will be entirely up to you. Please remember that coaching is not psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is about healing and it focuses on your past. Coaching is about growth. It's focused on your future. Remember, coaching isn't for everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode of A Wise Woman's Guide to Men and Marriage. What did you think? Did the information raise more questions? Do you want to learn more? Head over to A Wise Woman's Guide for show notes and links to the resources mentioned in this episode at awisewomansguide.com.